Hello, I'm Julia, and for this video I'm going to be talking about the not so recent Kindle reads that I have read. And yeah, I'm so behind. The last video, I think, or a couple months ago, I can't remember, I said that I started reading or listening to audiobooks, and I've been listening faster than my own brain can keep up. I just haven't really had the motivation, unfortunately, to film anything or edit or do anything really, so I'm doing it now. So the first book, or this one is an audiobook, and it's The Honeymoon Crashers by Christina Lauren, and this has to be listened to. It was planned out as kind of like a script. There are narrators. Harry Shum Jr. narrates Ethan, and Jessica Marie Garcia narrates Ami. If you have not read The Honeymooners, I highly recommend going to read that because you probably won't understand what's going on. But yes, so this follows Ami and Brody. Did I say Ethan? Ethan is Olive's, I can't remember what I said, but basically follows Ami and Brody. Olive and Ethan are saying that they're just gonna go get married. They're not gonna like make a big deal out of it because there's like a wedding curse on Olive's family. So she's like, we're just not gonna do anything. We're just gonna get married. And Ami is like, that's not happening. Let's go crash. So they get to Hawaii and they decide that they're just gonna plan a wedding. They surprise Ethan and Olive, and they start planning a wedding. And Ethan has his best friend Brody come, who is going to be his best man, and they suggest that Ami and Brody plan this wedding together. Brody is kind of like a go with the flow guy, and Ami is not. She wants everything to be perfect, everything needs to be planned out, and she wants to do it in the cheapest way possible. So I really liked this. I've said this before, but Christina Lauren is really a hit or miss for me, and the last couple of books have been a hit for me. I think I listened to this in May. I can't remember, but it's been a minute since I've listened to it. But I really liked the narrators. I thought they were perfect picks for this story, and I really liked how everything kind of went, because it kind of like shows like no matter how much you plan, something can go wrong, and something probably will go wrong. I really liked Ami and kind of her growth from the unhoneymooners to this book, kind of like realizing that she can be okay and be alone and just kind of take her time. And not knowing Brody, he was really interesting because there's like a secret that he has and we don't know it until the end. And it was interesting to kind of see like what he does for a living, because he kind of presents himself as the opposite of what he does. And so I really liked that. And it was super fun to see where Olive and Ethan are and how they're still happy and getting married, because I love stuff like that. Like, I love a good epilogue 10 years later. So for them to do that, like, kind of, it's focused on Ami and Brody, but it's also focused on Ethan and Olive because it is their wedding. So I really liked that. They kind of like molded the two, I guess. The irritation that is going through me right now. Next one is Ash City by Penelope Douglas. This is in an anthology called Scouts, and there's a ton of other authors who wrote in this book. I have the book because I solely wanted to read the Penelope Douglas one. I ended up reading it on my Kindle. This follows Ash and Castell. We don't know Ash's name until like very far into the book, but basically Castell is her ex-boyfriend is married to her sister, and they have a very complicated relationship, and He is a cop, I think, or he's into some shady shit. I can't remember. I think it's the shady shit. But basically, he comes to her apartment. There's a whole firestorm happening, and he comes to her apartment with someone that he's caught. That must be why, he might be a cop and into shady shit. I don't remember. But basically, he comes to her apartment, and he's got this dude with him in handcuffs, and she's like, what the fuck? And he's like, we need to use your apartment. And she's like, absolutely not. And he's like, no, we're coming in. And he, pushes his way in with himself, another dude, and this, silent prisoner. And she keeps looking at him. She's like, God, I know him from somewhere. Oh my God, I know him. How do I know him? So the entire time we're like, how do you know him? Because we don't know. So she is sitting there. She's arguing with this guy, her ex-boyfriend / brother-in-law, and there's a whole fire happening. I feel like the thing that bothered me the most about this, there were two things, but one of them was they were not worried about the fire as much as I thought they should have been. They should have been more worried about the fire. Most definitely. And they weren't. So she's fighting the friend that came with her brother-in-law, and the guy is just sitting there, handcuffed, with, no shirt on, and not speaking. And she's trying to talk to him, and he's, dead silent. So he gets out of the handcuffs, and they, things happen, and, it was a lot. So much happened. I don't want to give it all away, and that's what I was just about to do. But we found out how they knew each other. I think I rated this 4 stars. One of the other things that was weird to me was, this is kind of a spoiler, but basically they met 5 years prior, or a couple, it might have been more than 5 years. I can't remember, but she basically picked him up one day in the car. His friends dared him to get into somebody's car, and it was her car. That's how they met, and he just became obsessed with her, and I don't remember exactly how he ended up there, but he did. I thought it was really good. I just think Penelope Douglas has a really good way of pulling you in to her stories. She's just really good at it, and I love that about her. She does do some pretty taboo, weird things, because I think he was 12 at the time that they met, and then he becomes obsessed with her, and she's just kind of intrigued by him, I think, because why is this 12-year-old kid running around? Because there was a fire, and she was stuck in traffic, and he jumped in her car. So I just think she's really good at pulling you into a story. Yes, I rated it 4 stars. But yeah, this was really good. I really enjoyed it. I kind of wanted it to be longer, but since it's part of an anthology, I think that she's maybe 70, 80 pages or something. But yeah, it was really good. I really liked it. So next one is My Dark Romeo. This is by Parker S. Huntington and LJ Shen, and this follows Dallas and Romeo. Dallas is a rich kid, and Romeo is also a rich kid, but older and works for his dad's business. His dad doesn't like him very much, and he does not like who Dallas is meant to be getting engaged to. So when he finds that out at a party at the beginning of the book, he's like, they're in a VIP section, and she's not. And she sneaks into the VIP section to get shortbread cookies, and he catches her, and he's they talk for a second, and then he's like, hey, meet me here. And she's like, okay. So she goes, they start making out, and a curtain drops, and reputation ruined. So she ends up having to marry him, and she's like, you're insufferable, I hate you. And he was, and so was she. I gave this 3 stars. I bought this because it was all over TikTok and everyone was like, oh my god, it's so good. I really need to stop being influenced by TikTok from one-liners because this was so hard to get through. I think like the first like 60-70% was okay. And then I got so bored and I was just like, this isn't worth it. But I was so far in, I had to finish it. He just doesn't want her to be his wife, but like he did that anyway because he wanted to get revenge, and then everyone tries to get revenge on him and her, and she just wants to read. Like she just wants to be a wife and a mom and to be able to read, and he just will not give her that. He's just like, I want nothing to do with you. I married you as revenge, and because I needed my dad to know that I'm trying, and that I'm responsible, and he can give me the company when he retires. And he's, it was terrible. I didn't like it. I gave it 3 stars. I got through it. And it's just, he was annoying, she was annoying. Sometimes I think marriages of convenience are really nice, but I don't think this was a marriage of convenience. This was a marriage of manipulation. This was... There was a funny part, and I put it in my review, and it was, he's in a meeting, and she interrupts, or someone interrupts, and he's like, and while interrupting my meeting, no less, and he gets shot, and he goes, well, this is inconvenient. And that was the funniest, best part of the whole book. And apparently there's another one coming, so that's fun. Next is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I listened to this on audiobook before the movie came out. And, well, I actually watched the movie before, and then I listened to it, and then I watched the movie again. But it was great, and I loved it again. This follows Alex and Henry. Alex is the president's son, and Henry is a prince in England. And they hate each other. And they find out that they are friends, and then it evolves into more, and I absolutely adored this. I forgot how much I loved this book. I remember when I read it back in 2019 when it came out, I flew through it in a day or two, and I loved it so much. And then for this one, I listened to the audiobook, and that was just as good. The narrator in that was fantastic. Everything was just perfection. I loved their emails. I loved their banter. I loved them so much. I loved just everything about this. I don't know what else to say about it. It was so good. I loved it. And that's... I don't know what else to say about it. It was just fantastic, and I loved it so much. They were so funny, and they were just... I'm just in love with them. It was great, and I forgot how good it was. It was so good. And the movie actually did a pretty good job. I thought anyway, they obviously had to take some stuff out, but I thought they did a pretty good job. Next and last is One Last Rainy Day by Kate Stewart. This is Flock and Exodus in Dom's point of view. And this absolutely broke me into pieces, and I loved it so much. Kate Stewart is one of my favorite authors now, and reading this it was fantastic. And I don't want to say anything because I don't want to give anything away for people who haven't read it, but she does him so much justice. I would die for this to be another series, just to get Sean's point of view. And I know we kind of get Tobias's point of view in the finish line, but I think it would be so good if we got a whole Tobias book. I think it would be great. I would love it so much. If you haven't read it, and In Flock, Dom is kind of, his best friend Sean starts a relationship with this girl named Cecilia, and they kind of have like a, what is it called? I never remember this word. Polyamorous? I think it's a poly relationship. I can't remember though. She's with both of them. Some things happen, they end up breaking up, and it's just more things happen, and it's sad and heartbreaking, and Kate Stewart really knows how to like break your heart. And I feel like the way that she described Dom and the feelings he had towards Cecilia were just so perfect. Like, because you're thinking the entire time you're reading Flock, you're like, he's like so off about her, and he is off about her, but like he's not as off about her as everyone, like, for as long as we think that he is. And I don't want to say anything else, but it was great, and Kate Stewart did a fantastic job of bringing his story to life, I think, and yeah, I really loved it. That's it, I think, of all the Kindle reads that I've read. I could probably do more, but I'm not going to. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you've read any of these, and then comment down below. We can talk about them. Thank you for watching again. All my social medias will be linked down below.